FM.
Hello and welcome to a very special episode of Disability Life. This time is, of course, Christmas Day, so that could only mean one thing, and that is it's a Christmas special. Now, instead of doing it the traditional way like I did last year, I've brought on three people. So one of them is a returnee. He was in the middle of this series, having a special episode. That was with Sir Carl Duke or whatever. We're gonna now go back into him out of character. So please enjoy this one and then join me after that. Welcome along to a Christmas special of the podcast. And I'm delighted to have a returning guest from Slam Back in the Middle of this series. Now, out of character, not in character necessarily. The man behind Sir Duke, Kyle Neal. Welcome along, Kyle.
Hello.
How you doing?
Hello. I'm good. Yourself?
Good. Very good.
I'm going to change my background again. We're gonna come from San Francisco this time.
Okay.
Just change it up.
Brilliant.
Keep it fresh.
Spice it up. We should probably mention the elephant in the room, why or not in character for this one. So, what's the reason for getting into character for the sort of special that we had?
Well, when we did it, obviously, if we're telling the behind-the-scenes secrets, obviously the initial agreement was that we were going to do the two podcasts, one in character, one out of character. I just think you wanted to talk to me for longer, but what can I say? I think why not do something in character, keep it different, you know? I think character work is fun. I think that people enjoy TV shows. So when you approached me about doing the podcast, I was like, well, hey, if people like watching TV shows and they like watching characters, why don't I do something in a character? Because that would be fun. And it just kind of coincided at the time where I was like just starting out with the character, and I was like, well, we might as well carry stuff on with the character and give it a go. So yeah, I think that covers the elephant in the room.
It does. So that was the main reason why you were starting the character out. You were trying a few things out with the character, and you were just wanting to kind of see where it went, and it went pretty well. Go back into your early life then, Carl. Growing up, have you always been interested in acting, in being musical, or the rest of it?
Yeah, I think actually, if I'm honest, that was something that happened during secondary school, mainly, because I don't know, like growing up. Actually, I'm gonna be so real with you. When I was like growing up through like primary school and stuff, I wanted to be like a spy. It changed every week. Like I wanted to be a spy. I wanted to be a pirate. I wanted to be like an astronaut at one point. I was gonna. Oh mate, honestly, the list was endless. It was quite funny. And then I was like, and then the main thing that I like settled on coming out of primary school was I wanted to be a professional wrestler, and I wanted to go like WWE and all that fun stuff. Yeah, right, which is fun. And then I got into, and then as you do when you're 9 years old and you've got nothing better to do with your time, I went onto Google and I typed up, I was like, what grades do you need to be a professional wrestler? And obviously it comes up and it's like, well, you don't need any proper grades, but experience in acting is probably desirable, to quote Google. So what happened was I then went into secondary school and I was like, hey, I'm going to join the drama club because I'm going to be the next John Cena. And that was how it sort of started in secondary school, but it was never like a big thing in secondary school, I would say, for me, until about like year 9, like 13, 14-ish. That was when I was really like, hey, I don't want to be a wrestler anymore. I kind of want to be an actor. Yeah. And then lo and behold, here we are all this time later.
We are. And have you done plays, productions, all that?
What, in school, do you mean?
Schoolwork and
Do you know,
college.
it's funny. I was having this, because I was having this conversation the other day. We were talking. Do you remember the nativity and how like everyone had to do the nativity in primary school? I can't remember who I played. I know I did it. I know I did it because I remember doing it, but I can't remember who I played. I think I was a shepherd. Oh, this is the thing. I think I was a shepherd. I think I want to say I was a shepherd, but I don't know. But I mean, like I did productions in school and stuff. I never joined like a youth theatre program or nothing because we didn't have the money. And I've lost my light now. Oh no, technical. There we go. But yeah, but like I never joined a youth theatre or nothing. But then coming out of school, it was like secondary school. It was either like, oh, I'm going to be a mechanic or I'm going to be an actor. Let's have a look, because I had like a whole apprenticeship lined up with BMW, and they were going to like, I think part of the apprenticeship at one point was they were going to like fly me out to Germany or something, which was actually kind of cool. And in retrospect, it would have been a very, very fun opportunity, but I do think I made the right choice going down the acting route. I'm going to be honest.
Fair enough.
But then I did that, and then I went. What happened after that? I don't know. Oh, and then I went to do drama school, and I didn't get in, which life happens. But I didn't get in. So then I worked at Spoons, which was fun, not fun. And then I went and worked at Chichester Festival Theatre, which was amazing, and became a part of their youth theatre, which was also amazing. Yeah.
And have you got university?
And now I'm at university and I'm doing counselling and psychotherapy. And it's just everything's changing. It's so fun. But I think it's one of those things, you know, like I don't regret, because it's funny, I was having this conversation with my aunt the other day, and she was like, oh, so like, do you feel like you've wasted? Because, you know, as you do when you go to university, you start getting homesick and stuff. And she was like, well, like, do you feel like you wasted your time up here and yada, yada, yada? And I was like, no, I don't think I have, in fairness. And I think I really enjoy, I think the best way to sum up university so far for me is that I feel challenged and I feel uncomfortable, but I'm happy about that, because it means that I'm progressing and I'm learning and I'm putting myself out of my comfort zone. And I think as people and as humans, we can only grow when we're outside of our comfort zone. Like if you're constantly in a place where you're happy and you're comfortable, you're never learning, you're never growing. It's like the idea, like learning a new language, for example. I imagine it would be like learning a new language. Like if your first language is English, you know, learning something, especially if you were like older, which I think is the other thing as well. Like when you're younger, as children, our brains are a lot more, what's the word, like receptible, or that it's happier to learn stuff because it's still so young and new and fresh, which like is a great thing, don't get me wrong. But as we get older and we get more stubborn in our way of life and who we are and yada, 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 putting yourself out there to do something different can really be a challenge. As I'm sure you've probably faced through your life, and as everyone faces through their life, you know, it's like the idea of if you moved out of your home for the first time, like that is a huge challenge for a lot of people.
I enjoyed it, being away from my parents.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No, that's no. Well, yeah, no, fair. But I mean, in the sense of like having to rely on yourself financially and stuff, like from that perspective, you know, there's always the anxiety that comes along with that. So yeah, my point being is that putting yourself out of your comfort zone is very, very scary. And even though I'm in a position now where I'm doing a course at uni that has nothing to do with any of my background. I mean, like I did acting in college. I never even did like a psychology A level or anything. So I've got no experience doing any psychology stuff, and I feel completely out of my comfort zone. But I love it because I know that in the long run, I'm doing something that's worthwhile. And when I get the course, when I get the degree, and I get the grades and stuff, and I go off and I start counselling and open up my own practice and yada yada yada. When I help people, I know that I'm doing something worthwhile, ultimately, and I'm doing something that changes, even if it's not the whole world in its entirety, it's someone's world, and that to me is the thing that matters. And I think relating it back to the acting, that was always the thing for me, because I'm like, I think acting and theatre in general, it can be so life-changing for so many people. I worked with a lot of people when I was working with Chichester Theatre. There were a lot of people there who are coming from working class backgrounds, young carer backgrounds. They're coming from SEN backgrounds. As is the case when you've got a community as big as that. There's so many people. I've lost my light again. Oh no, there we go. There's so many people that are coming from so many different backgrounds. What I think is important is being inclusive of all of them and letting them into your world and letting them into the world of the space around them. And in that context of the theatre, it was theatre, and that's where it can be life-changing for so many people. Getting back to the point, this is what I was saying to my aunt the other day. Like, I think in retrospect, I don't regret coming onto this course and changing into a different industry entirely. I don't regret. I don't feel like I've wasted any time with the work I was doing back down south. Because now, because what I did, whilst it hasn't like changed the world and it hasn't revolutionized everything, like I remember working with a little girl. I used to work, the theatre runs a Festival Friday program. And essentially what they do, they take 15 year 5 children for the year. So they're like 9-10 years old. And they're kids who struggle. They're not like the naughty kids, but they're just kids who struggle to work in an academic environment, and they thrive more in a practical environment. And there was one girl in the group last year, and obviously, like, I can't say her name and yada yada yada, but there was one girl in the group last year, and when we started the year, she just did not want to talk at all. And the idea of if she had like a spotlight shone on her, she just completely shut down. Like she hated it. And through the year, obviously, we're coaching and working with these children and yada yada yada. By the time that we got to the end of the year, they were doing a little show. The theatre had just opened up a space called The Nest, which, side note, is a fantastic idea. It was a initiative put forward by Justin, who is the artistic director of the theatre at the minute. And essentially it was about giving opportunity to local theatre makers to like, I suppose to put a spotlight on their work, because it's so hard in that industry to get anywhere and get any work. So anyway, so they had The Nest, and my kids, not my kids, the kids I was working with, ended up doing a show in The Nest by the end of the year. And this girl who I was working with, who was just completely shy, fully, found her voice through the year. And by the end of the year, when we got to that show, I have never seen someone in my life look so confident on a stage. Genuinely, it blew my mind. It's one of the proudest moments I have in my 21 years of life. Like it's genuinely one of the proudest moments I have, because even though, like I say, like even though I didn't change the whole world through my work at the theatre, I changed the world of that one person. And I imagine, and I hope, fingers crossed, that she will take those lessons that she learned last year with her going forward in life, and become a better person for it. So my point being is that even though theatre, or even though it's not as big a part of my life anymore now, and I'm still working with the theatre here nearby the uni, but even though it's not as big a part of my life now, it's still, I don't regret a single minute of it. I think it's just, I think there are so many aspects of life that can be fantastic, but it's about trying out new things and being open-minded and receptive to those new things.
Brilliant. And as you mentioned a little bit there about working with disabled people, obviously your link to this podcast. So this is a theatre one that you were working with disabled people, and even in college you had some disabled friends as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's gone again. Sorry.
I don't know about that. Going forward, you've got your music as well, your guitar and all that. So is Cedric doing a tour? I mean, what's the ambition with him? Are you still going to keep on doing him?
Yeah, I'm still like, there's open mics here, and like, I mean, guys, if you want to follow my Instagram, go crazy. But like, there's still it's actually quite conveniently located, because where I live, if I walk out and then I turn this way and then I turn that way, it's literally just up the road, and there's a whole like arts centre, and they do an open mic there. So I've like been, and they do that once a month, I think it is. So like I've been doing bits and bobs there. If I'm honest, I'm taking a little bit of a back burner on performing at the minute. But I don't think that's a bad thing. Also, because not being funny, I'm spending like 30 grand plus on this uni course. So, you know, I'd like to put a lot of energy into that.
Thank God for student loans. Thank God for you don't have to pay it back immediately. Thank God you've got 30 years to get to it.
Oh my God. In 30 years, I hope. Do you know? In 30 years, I hope I'm in a position to pay it back, because then at least financially everything just comes together. If
you go 30 years without paying it back, it just gets cut off anyway. So
no, that is true. That is true. But yeah,
yeah. So, but I'm glad you're enjoying your course. So, what tips or advice? You've probably gone through this already, but what tips or advice would you give to people that are going through the sort of same process as you at the moment, like sort of getting to grasp with a different environment, getting to grasp with a new challenge, perhaps?
I think humans fear, and it's the idea that people fear the unknown, right? Fear itself is something that everyone will feel at some point in their life. We become scared of things most when we don't understand things. When I was coming up to this area, and this is like, you know, it's like other side of London. I'm in a place completely far away from anywhere I know, along the south coast. When you're moving into a completely new environment, new area, the best thing I think you can do, and it sounds almost a bit weird, but I suppose the best way you could describe it is it's almost like a test. It's like an exam. So do your research beforehand. Do your exam prep beforehand. Get to know the area before you go up there as best as you can. And then once you're up there, just embrace it. You know, I think there are people here that I know who have come up to uni, and like we've got people at the uni from all over the world. Like there are people. There's actually a lot of people here from Ireland, which I wouldn't have expected. But hey ho. Not saying that's a bad thing because it's not. It's cool. But like there's a lot of people from Ireland over here, which was not what I expected. But like a lot, and actually, I think Ireland's a really, really good example. Because Ireland, and I was having this conversation with someone the other day, Ireland, from what I've learned about their culture through speaking to them, the biggest difference between Irish culture and English culture is that the Irish are very community driven, and they're very community heavy. In comparison to the English, who like we're sort of community driven, but ultimately we keep ourselves to ourselves, I think.
Stay away from me. Don't talk to me.
Yeah,
That kind of thing.
Well, it's like if you go in London, for 5 minutes, everyone's just like headphones on, looking down at the ground. Let's go where I need to go, you know. And you find that pretty much all over the country. I think in England, but and obviously you get the odd exceptions here and there, but ultimately the majority. But anyway, but the biggest. Sorry, I was speaking to someone who's Irish, so obviously they're saying they're very, very community driven. But one of the biggest things when I was speaking to them about what helped them here the most is they said that when they got here, they just immersed themselves into everything. And I think that's what you can, that's the only thing you can do. I think it's like that idea of if you were starting a new job, I think is another good example. Like if you start a new job and it's something, let's say, for example, you spent all your time in life working as a builder, and now all of a sudden you're going to work as a bartender, right? And you've never worked a day behind the bar in your life. The best thing you can do in that scenario is immerse yourself in it and just fully give everything you've got. And then eventually, obviously, as time goes, your thought processes and yada, yada, yada will change according to your own personal opinions and yada yada yada. But in the beginning, if you give it everything you've got, you're more likely to feel comfortable because you know that you're doing everything in your power to become a part of whatever you're trying to become a part of. I think that's the other thing as well. You know, when you talk about fear, anxiety is also a massive factor in fear, and the two go very, very hand in hand. And anxiety is a very, 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 very tricky beast. And yet again, I think everyone feels anxiety at some point in their life. The best cure to anxiety, aside from controlling your breathing, because that is very, very important, I think, but the best cure to anxiety is action. Ultimately, which also is the same for fear, and that's why they go quite hand in hand. If you've 6, 7, if you've if you've got or if you're anxious about something, do everything you can to try and resolve that problem, because ultimately, once you resolve that problem, you're a lot calmer in yourself. You know, if, for example, if you were in debt to a casino, I don't know, if you're in debt, if you're in debt to a casino, the best thing you can do, and you're feeling anxious about it, the best thing you can do is clear that debt. Because once you've cleared that debt, then your anxiety about it's gone. And this is what I mean, like take action. Don't be complacent. Take action, because once you take action and you immerse yourself, you will feel a lot more assured in everything, I think.
Before we wrap up, tell people of your details on socials, and next time I'll probably see you. Are you going to do some videos? Are you going to do like will you put your dates on your socials to let people know when you're doing gigging?
I don't know. Probably. Probably.
All right. What's your TikTok, Instagram? What's your kind of like?
Oh,
Oh, we'll put them on the screen anyway. But
oh, okay, okay.
yeah,
This is let's do an editing thing. Look, Kile Nile. Ooh,
there you go. Yeah,
ooh,
like that.
ooh. Yep.
Yep, brilliant. Thank you guys so much for coming on, even though that issue, two of you, how awful. Um,
It's all right. Double trouble.
yeah. Thank you for coming on, Carl.
Thank you very much as well, Peter, for having us.
Yeah, for having both of you, yes. Um, Bit of improv there. But yeah, and Merry Christmas.
And Merry Christmas to you as well.
So that was Carl, out of character. Now I've decided to bring along my lovely, wonderful host from the D Word, which you might have heard me on the radio with for the last year or so. So please do enjoy that, and again, join me again afterwards. I'm here with a very special guest. I've tried to get him on for many months before I got here, and please welcome along Calum, well, my co-host from the, well, with the mostest really, from the D Word. Welcome along, Calum.
Thank you for having me, Pete. It's yeah, like I said, it's been a few months. Been trying to sort this out, so nice to finally be on with you.
Yeah. First of all, Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Yeah, Merry Christmas to you and anyone else listening who does celebrate it. And if you do not, have a good Thursday.
Absolutely. Um, before we get into Christmas, step into Christmas. Um,
Mm.
you so tell me a bit about your early life, like growing up. So from 0 to 5, really.
To be fair, I don't actually. Boringly, I don't remember too much in that time period when I was fully sighted. Because yeah, I think for anyone who listens to the D word, they may be aware that uh, didn't go blind until I was 5, but I think it was kind of a standard middle class childhood, to be honest. Because I am from a middle class family. I don't pick any bones about it. It's funny really because I know, especially when growing up a bit later, like as a teenager, it wasn't cool to be middle class, and I think my younger brother and sister very much would deny that they were. And I don't know, personally, I always found that a bit odd because it's sort of there, like recognize your privilege when you have it, I suppose. Um, but yeah, so I went my childhood home. We moved into when I was 3. Again, not something I really remember, but that's where we continued living. And like I said, my parents still live there to this day. Which frankly probably did serve me very well when I did become visually impaired, being in the same place. Of course, it did have changes over the years with extensions such as a conservatory being added, changes to bathroom, kitchen, but that would have served me well. I know I have memories from I know I had a friend at nursery like everyone did. I remember being at his playing with his X-Men figures, for example. But I remember chasing our Jack Russell puppy at the time around the back garden. But as far as like solid memories, not that many of them, honest. I guess one thing I was born. Apologies for droning on a little bit here, but I was actually, I suppose, a sort of fun fact thing as far as when I was born, it was 6 weeks early. So I know it's not as early as not as early as yourself, Pete.
No,
But
not at
yeah,
all.
so I was 6, so half the time, 6 weeks early, which then led to what I say to people: my first stint in hospital because I hadn't developed the ability to swallow, so they had to keep me in hospital for not too long. I think it was only a week, up to a week. To feed me sort of through my nose. Yeah, and like I said, that was my first time in a hospital bed.
Oh. Um, we've talked about it on the do but I don't think we've gone too much into detail about what exactly happened. So, when you were five, you became vision
Mhm.
impaired through was it some sort of stroke, some sort of brain tumor, stroke thing?
Yeah, it was a brain tumor. So it was the day after my fifth birthday that, and again, I will say a lot of this stuff I don't actually remember happening. It's why I put a lot of credence into the psychology theory of the brain hiding traumatic experiences from you. You know, like in the unconscious. So, because like I said, I have memories before losing my sight, but during it, I don't. So a lot of this information is through what my parents have told me,
Yeah.
maybe some friends at the time, but also, to be fair, some nightmares that I had when I was younger that I've realized were, you know, based in truth. So yeah, lost my sight day after my fifth birthday. My mum tells me she found me in my bedroom, like in the corner, like early morning, and basically asked me what I was doing. And I told her I was trying to find the toilet. And it was like, so she said, so can you see Calum? And I just responded, no, mummy, I don't think so, mummy. Which I appreciate would have been terrifying for a parent to hear in the moment, probably. So got, rushed to hospital. They did a CT on me, and yeah, it was discovered that I had a brain tumor. I apologize that I'm probably not going to be able to give all the scientific jargon here,
No,
but
that's fine. I would expect
uh,
you to.
no, but it was at the back of the brain, which was kind of fortunate in one sense because meant, and I'm speeding ahead here, but it was a lot easier, therefore, for them to remove all of it, where some people are not that fortunate. But yeah, so what had happened though is the tumor had caused an upbuild of fluid in the brain, and the fluid then put pressure on the optic nerves, which is then what sort of caused, which are the nerves at the back of the eyes, and they're you know that caused them to sort of go, stuff this, and yeah, just stopped working entirely initially. So yeah, I was totally blind. When this was discovered, got rushed to the nearest hospital with a neurology department, which was, funny enough, Southampton. I realise I'm saying this, so I grew up in Weymouth. Was born in Dorset County Hospital, which is in Dorchester, the neighbouring town to Weymouth, and yeah, like I said, got rushed off to Southampton, and while there, they did the, I think, standard sort of operations as far as removing a bit of my skull. They put a shunt in, which is sort of like a device that drains the fluid from the brain. It could go either into your stomach or your lungs. For me, it was the more common one, which goes into the stomach. So yeah, that was to relieve the pressure. And then it was, so like I said, this would have been on the 29th of January. So it was then on the eventually on the 10th. A few other things had happened, but on the 10th, where they operated on me to remove the tumor. And as I said, fortunate enough that they were able to remove all of it. A lot of people aren't as fortunate on that, but it was very much a case of it's saved my life. My mum's told me that, I say, when I had the CT scan and stuff, they didn't have to sedate me or anything because I was completely out of it. Like I was very much. I've often said to people, I wasn't on death's doorstep. I was in death's house, and they kicked me out because yeah, it was very much a case of, like I said, it. My parents at that point, I guess, were very much looking at, you know, one of their children passing. So the fact that that didn't happen was great, and in that sense, sometimes may have been more difficult than others, but especially these days when I tell people about having a brain tumor and they go, "Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. That's so tragic." And it's like, like I said, it's like the alternative was not being here at all. So, we obviously talk about it on the radio, the D word, you know, obviously having disability has its challenges, of course, and would life be easier without? The reality is yes, but again, the alternative was not being alive. So I'm not gonna, be too sorry for it. But and even more so when you consider, I have friends who are totally blind, and they do fine with it, of course, but there's no denying that, if you have some sight, then you are a bit better off. And fortunately, as I said, I had lost all my sight. I was fortunate that within 6 months, I did get a little bit back. Sort of gradual. My parents tell me it was initially light and dark, then it was shapes, and then my mum has told me a story of when. So I returned to school in May half term, but only for half days. So missed it, and I obviously hadn't been in school since the Christmas holidays. That's why I don't really count reception, to be honest, for me. Uh, but my mum tells a story of when she came to pick me up on one half day. Apparently, my reception teacher, Mrs. Cheeseman, came rushing out. Was there like, Mrs. Brennan, he can see colour. And, mum came running in, and I had building blocks, in front of me. And, people would, Mrs. Cheeseman beforehand, and whoever the teaching assistant was at the time. And now my mum were just asking me, what colour is this block? And I was telling them. Because, of course, colours and stuff was something had gained knowledge on in the first 5 years of my life. But yeah, and the sight I have left is 10% in the right eye. Uh, so that's always been the case. And that's another thing where I'm fortunate in compared to other people with visual impairments, severe sight impairments, whatever term you'd like to use. My sight has been stable ever since. There are a lot of people where theirs is not, and it could go any second or it decreases over time. Of course, we, again, on the D word, talked a lot about Chris McCausland last year being on Strictly. He had RP. I always forget what exactly it stands for. Is it retinus pigmentosa or something like that? But that is a condition that you're born with, and it deteriorates over time. So as I think he had lost all his sight by 22, I think it was.
Yeah.
Again, I'm fortunate to not be in that situation. So I have been able to, say, watch TV still, sit very close to it, but I can watch it, for example.
Yeah. And
Yes.
okay, yeah. So school and college. You mentioned you went back to school,
Mm-hmm.
mainstream, and then
Yeah.
was there any special adaptations? Because later on you did then go to a blind college. So what sort of adaptation did you have at the school?
Adaptations were pretty much from the beginning. I had a one-on-one TA. Reception was someone different. Mrs. Carter, I don't know. Carter was the VI teacher. But anyway, so I had a one-on-one TA in the class with me. You then had, I did have VI teachers come in as well, that's where the brailing started. That was more in year two. But it was in year two or year three where I had the same TA for a few years. At that point, it had been switching reception and what was left of reception, but then year one was someone different. And yeah, so I had one-on-one brailing. I was taught in year two. I was also taught touch typing. it was the decision was made that Brailing was the better working medium for me, which frankly, I would say later in life and even now, I'm still feeling the effects of that because Braille is frankly, it still hopefully will never entirely die, but it is a dying medium, especially in comparison to touch typing and technological uh, assistive softwares. So it's but as a result of the Brailing being chose, I've always been a bit not as good as I would like to be when it comes to using a computer or laptop. Like I can get by, don't get me wrong, but I feel like I could be better, and I certainly think I would have been better if touch typing had been used more than Braille throughout primary school, and there, and that sort of became more of a thing in uh, secondary school, and especially when it came to GCSEs. Some were done in Braille, like maths and Spanish, and science, but then religious education, English, ICT, of course. Those were done with my laptop. So it became a 50-50. And again, that was also that I had two TAs assigned to me. They weren't in the class at the same time. It was just more they sort of in secondary school they split between them what classes they would be with me for, So because say one of them say was better at maths, where the other was better at English. So like that, for
Mm.
example.
Yeah. So, were they teachers or teacher assistants or the visually impaired teachers? Were they already at the school or were they brought in for you?
The teaching assistants, I believe, were brought in for me. I know the ones at secondary school were. I don't actually know about primary school, but I believe at least in Key Stage 2 they were.
Mm.
So year 3 to year 6 they were brought in, I believe, specifically for me. I'm not sure about Key Stage 1. I think that one was sort of decided on the fly who was going to be with me. And then VI teachers were brought in. They work with the county council. They're the ones who came in, and like I said, taught me Braille, uh, taught me, would show me like how to use tactile rulers, for example, what was called Wiki Stick, which is kind of how I don't know. I think I would say how it sounds. It's like they were like sticky sticks of plastic-like material. I don't actually know what they were really made out of, but you were able to bend them and cut them up. And the idea was that you could like stick them on graphs,
All right.
so and it would give tactile on that front. So it's one of those with it was sort of a mixed bag on that front. Because I would get taken out of class to teach Braille, to teach touch typing,
Mm.
which admittedly I didn't mind at the time for sure. Because to be honest, I think I assumed that other people were doing it. Especially at the beginning, you don't realize that something is, you know, massively different. I mean, I remember, for example, in year one, so like, 6 months to a year after I lost my sight, I still wanted to be a football player, like a lot of young boys, or the other one, like a police officer. So, and I'd get told, oh, you can't, by like my teaching assistant, oh, you won't be able to do that. And I was sort of like, why? Didn't understand, what was the issue. And I often say to people, to be honest, I don't think I fully appreciated the difference now between me and others until, and again, apologies for the lowering of the tone, but I was then bullied which started in year 2 and went all the way to year 6. So I think that's when I really became more aware of, I guess, what people saw as my shortcomings.
Okay. And so when they went on from that, so you're still able to do GCSEs, do kind of like A level results, and everything else. Um,
Yes.
what and you had like extra time, you had like being put in the
Hmm.
right room for that kind of thing, didn't you, and everything else.
Yeah, I had 100% extra time for exams, which
Yeah.
sounds great, but and to be fair, it probably was. But when you're a teenager, a 2 hour exam turning into a 4 hour exam
Yeah.
is just feels like a bit of a headache, to be honest. And the even longer at A levels, like a 3 hour exam becoming a 6 hour exam, so it was essentially the whole day at school. And don't get me wrong, it was needed and it was useful to have, so I can't complain on that front. But and then it then meant it was a bit weird, especially because with exams that long, of course, like anyone would, I needed to go to the toilet, but it meant like my TAs, because of the exam of authority, they had to essentially follow me to the toilet.
Yeah.
Fortunately, they didn't have to come in with me.
All right.
Uh, but that might be because they were both women. I almost wonder if one of my TAs was male, if they would have had to like be required to at least stand inside the toilet door. I don't know. I'm being a bit facetious there, but it did feel that way, especially at the time.
Yeah.
Uh, so it, and then after that, so yeah, like I said, sixth form was also mainstream school for me. They were a bit more adapted to have like their specialist department, I suppose. A special education department was a bit bigger. They were used to having more students, and not just visually impaired. They had wheelchair students. Where in comparison to say my time at All Saints, my secondary school, they did have a specialist department. I think it was more for learning difficulties. To be honest, I wasn't the first, uh, you know, registered blind student to be at the school when I joined. I was the first brailleist, though, so I guess to give an idea of how it wasn't that much of a regular occurrence. But I certainly never had an issue with either departments at my secondary school or my sixth form. It wasn't there. It was after sixth form, like towards the end of it. I did a third year, which is sort of a combination, I think, of me. I don't think I can entirely put that one on me being visually impaired. I think that one was a bit of laziness on my part and underestimating the difference between secondary school and sixth form. I think, I very much saw the free periods as, I'm going to just chill and talk to mates rather than doing some studying some of the time. So I was better in my second and third year. But then by the end of it I wasn't really ready for uni. So I then was told by my sort of VI teacher, who was still seeing me at that point, had done all throughout primary, secondary, and sixth form, about Royal National College for the Blind. Now, in
Is
hindsight, there's a part of me that finds it a bit weird that she hadn't mentioned it to me while I was at All Saints, to be honest, because you can go to the Royal National College for the Blind 16 onwards, which is in I realise RNC. It's in Hereford. You do also have New College Worcester, NCW, but that one, unlike RNC, that is also a secondary school and sixth form. So from 11 till 18, where RNC at the time anyway was only 16 and above, including taking mature students, so above 25-year-olds. I believe, unfortunately, they've lost that contract in recent years. So it's probably at this point more of a sixth form and people in their early 20s. So I joined it at 19.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you actually about that. And what was the process? You mentioned obviously somebody mentioned it to you. Did your parents then come with you to an open day, and then, or was it just a transition of just going from school to school?
No, we had to go for an open day because, of course, going from Weymouth to Hereford, that's like a 3.5, 4 hour drive. So
Yeah.
we arranged not an open day initially. It was just a tour of the college. So yeah, did that. That was towards the end of my second year, I believe, because at that point I knew I was staying a third year. So I looked I looked uh, around the college, just like a tour, a couple of hours maybe, and then I decided, yeah, okay, I think this would be a good place for me to go afterwards, because the alternative to me seemed obviously people there like maybe you could take a gap year, but especially at the time I was sort of there like well, most people on gap years either go traveling, and there was no way in hell that I wanted to do that,
Hmm.
frankly. Not even from an accessibility point of view, even though I will say a lot of countries people, I often would say that, and some may not agree with this, but in my mind, I often say to people, the UK is one of the best places to live as a disabled person. And even then, it's still not perfect. But it's sort of like putting it into perspective of what it would be like in other countries. And so the last thing, but even past that, I am not a fan of heat. So the idea of traveling around countries in Asia, Australia, even to which I think is fair to say is the cliche route people do from the UK on a gap year. I've got my sister did it, one of my mates did it. Yeah, I was there like no, definitely don't want to do that. And I probably wouldn't have minded getting a job, but again, I always struggled finding the kind of work people were doing around my age because like being a waiter, be were being a dishwasher. In reality, is it stuff I probably could have done if someone gave me the time? Yeah, sure, but
Yeah.
maybe incorrectly. There's a part of me that, in hindsight, I regret that I didn't push more for it. I was probably being a bit of a lazy teenager, but also, like I think at that point in my life, if there was one block, maybe I would try and push past that one. But once there was a second block, then I just went, all right, and got disheartened. Nowadays, I think I'm better at pushing past that first block, second block, third block, fourth block.
Yeah.
But certainly as a teenager, when you've got jobs that your friends are doing, like working behind tills in a supermarket or like in a small corner shop, it wasn't something that seemed viable.
Calum. So you mentioned work there. That's a very good segue into my next question. So you currently work in an art gallery type exhibition place in Southampton. That's voluntary. Um, what was your first job or voluntary job or
Okay.
whatever?
Um, I will say the gallery isn't voluntary. I do get it. It's just I'm casually
Oh, you do
contracted
get paid.
staff.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So it's not like a full. It's not an hour. It's not paid for hours. It's basically 0 hour contract.
Right.
Uh, so, but first, not including the work experience that everyone had to do in year 10 that I did, which
Oh
I
no,
did animal care.
you
I did
didn't.
animal care. But the first job I actually did was a paper round, which again I'm fortunate that the person in question looked past me being visually impaired to give me the opportunity. But it was basically my sister initially did it, who's 3 years younger than me. She then was quitting it to go and work in a cafe, and I was 17 at the time, and I suppose I wanted to do work. And I knew the route was close by us, and I was pretty confident. I was like, I think I could learn that route quite easily. I'd learned my way around my school buildings quite easily. I have a good memory as well, which has helped me. So yeah, I just got that. And first couple of times, my dad walked around with me to get me used to, you know, which house was which. But then I did that for a couple of years. I also slightly before that, actually, I think it was slightly before, did work at a corner shop nearby me, but it wasn't like majorly. What I did is, and to be honest, at the time, because again, I was very much a lazy teenager who liked his sleep, so I didn't actually enjoy doing it at the time too much. If I'm brutally honest, I would go down for a couple of hours in the morning, like 6 in the morning till 8, and basically help them unload the trolleys that were the deliveries and put the supplements in the newspapers. So I enjoyed doing the work, but yeah, getting up early at the weekends, yeah, I wasn't a fan.
Of course not.
No, so after doing so I quit the paper round because of going to the Royal National College for the Blind. Hard to continue a paper round in Weymouth when you're in Hereford for most of the year. After that, when I went to uni, I went to the University of Winchester. I became a student helper there. So mostly I was a campus tour guide, which I know, there's in the same way there's the jokes about a blind person working at an art gallery, there's also the jokes about working, a blind person being a campus tour guide. And of course, as someone who does stand-up comedy, probably something I may talk about more there. But I very much enjoyed my time working at the uni, and I was actually, I think it was a shame that once you left, you weren't really able to continue that. I very much enjoyed it, and then there was it was a bit difficult trying to find work after leaving uni, which was probably a prospect. I think it's a mixture of being visually impaired, but also I think generally for the students coming out of uni, it can be difficult to find work. But then you also had the fact that I graduated in 2020. So, the world had shut down. And it was in 2021 that I started part-time work. Initially, it was as a supply teacher, learning support assistant at a school. And then that actually became a part-time uh, contracted hours, and I did that in total for around a year, at a SEN all boys secondary school, which in reality wasn't that close to me. But my partner at the time would give me a lift, but it was like a 40-minute drive, which was a big reason for why I stopped doing it. And in hindsight, maybe I should have kept at it again. I don't know, but it was at the time, at the least, it felt because my relationship ended. So obviously there was no chance of getting lifts to the work, and I still hadn't heard from Access to Work. Somewhat annoyingly, the day I handed it in, the day
Oh yeah.
I think it was the day I handed in my resignation. I think it was the next day that Access to Work actually contacted me. So if they had contacted me before, would I have still kept at it and um, you know, got, maybe taxis through Access to Work? Potentially, but even at that point as well, it was unclear whether I'd be able to stay in Southampton. With because obviously previously I'd been living with my ex, so it was unclear whether I'd be able to stay in the city and if I'd have to move back to Weymouth. And if that was the case, then I definitely wouldn't have been able to continue working in a place called Salisbury Green. Don't ask me to say exactly where it is. For obvious reasons, my map reading has never been fantastic. But like I say, it's in Hampshire.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, so left that, and then yeah, it was like basically another year before I was able to get to the art gallery. I did also work for another school, and also in this time, I volunteered for guide dogs, but that mostly was as public speaking, which I've always enjoyed doing, and that came out of me when I got my first guide dog, which was when I was 17, so when I was in sixth form. In my second year of sixth form, I got him. Um, I then, school were very accommodating. They were like, okay, we'll put, notices in the registers for, tutors to notify the students of what to do. So basically, yes, there is a dog. Yes, it's going to be quite surreal to see a dog walking around school, but don't touch it, don't interact with it, that sort of thing. So I then suggested, well, what if I basically do assemblies for the school, you know, and basically talk to them about the process, talk to them about what not to do and all that stuff. Which I kind of weirdly saw as not training. I guess training would be the way, but almost me testing the waters for how I'd feel about standing up in front of people. Because at that point, the idea of doing stand up comedy is something that had been in my head for a couple of years. To the assemblies when and they would get a laugh. So, but it was also just working on my confidence because, especially when I was a teenager, even though the idea of making people laugh was fun, and I enjoyed making friends laugh when normally that was through recounting a comedian set that I had, watched, and not in the sense of that I was, plagiarizing. I was just there. We were there, like talking about Lee Evans, for example, and I would then go off on one of his sets that I really enjoyed, like, and just start quoting it. And friend at the time was like, "Oh, you should do stand up comedy," and that was the seed planted. But this I was 15 then, and I was sort of there like talking in front of that many people. Not sure about that. And funnily enough, now I'd say I'm at the point where I find it easier. I'm definitely better than I was, but I still would say I find it easier talking on stage in front of a load of people in whatever capacity, whether it's doing a stand-up comedy, if it was doing a guide dog talk. I find that easier than having a one-on-one conversation.
Yeah. Um, you mentioned dogs there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so you mentioned whale earlier when you were 5 and you got used to that. Dogs, you had 17, and then obviously, you've had two dogs who,
Yes, two guide dogs. Yeah.
yeah, and this current time of recording, waiting for another. Um,
Yes.
and so when did the but because we haven't got a dog, you've got your cane with you. So
Mm-hmm.
where did the cane come in first?
So cane training I received when I was in year four, so 8, 9 years old, and again that was arranged through the county council. They helped me do routes around uh, around my school, around the local area, around town, and that just sort of continued, you know, for throughout the years. The more I wanted to do, and I was, the mobility instructor, as the position is called, changed on who was doing it. But yeah, we sort of, I continued doing it. I think I stopped a bit in primary because I actually didn't initially use my cane at all when they showed me it, and I think it's because, and I've seen a lot of people go through this at RNC who say lost their sight later in life, so like a year or so before they start at the blind college. You kind of don't want to use the cane initially because it makes you feel like a label. It makes you stand out, and even though it is a help, people feel. So I guess at 9 years old, that was sort of my process. I was in the middle getting bullied. Obviously, you can make a joke about the cane would have been a good way to defend myself, but I think in reality at the time, for me, I felt like it'd make me to have a cane around the school would make me stand out. As much as for your Star Wars fans out there, it would make me stand out as much as Mace Windu with his purple lightsaber in Attack of the Clones. So it's just one of those things that I didn't want to do it, and I wouldn't use it in public either. That changed. Actually, we were in Cornwall. My family and I would often go there. Had a caravan at a campsite from 9 till 16, and it was when I was like 9, 10 years old. So not. Oh. So yeah, when I was in Cornwall one time, I remember I believe we were in Saint Ives, and my parents stopped to look into the window of an estate agent's. I think because possibly thinking of getting a holiday home in Cornwall. They'd been thinking about getting a holiday home around this time because I remember them also looking in France and Spain. Never ended up happening.
Nice.
But they so they stopped, and I, as a 9-year-old, 10-year-old kid, you know, who also couldn't see very well, found this very boring. So I then decided, but I was visually impaired. I wasn't going to like go off wandering in a street. I had already, I think it would have been not long before this that I wandered off from my family in Hamleys and gave them a massive scare. They found me in the end. I stayed in the shop. I hadn't like, but obviously Hamleys, if anyone's been there in London, very big store. So, but yeah, so I sort of decided to like pace back and forth, like don't know how many yards, but just sort of up and down the high street, you know. So I'd always get back to mum and dad. But then there was one point where I, when I was walking back toward, I think mum or dad called me, and I went to walk back towards them. And as I was walking to them, a man passed me and he shoved me, you know, which, and basically when I got back to my mum and dad, you know, asked if I was all right. But then my mum basically was saying to me, what had happened is in my pacing back and forth, you know, without a cane. So as far as to the outside world, I was fully sighted. You know, I in my pacing back and forth, I'd got in the way of that man taking a picture of his family. So I'd like basically walked right into in the way of the shot.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
so but mum was saying if I'd had my cane, the guy would have known that I was visually impaired and that I didn't do it on purpose. I still would argue a fully grown man shoving a 10-year-old kid is a bit pathetic, uh, you know. But so there from then I started using my cane when I was in public, and then when I went to secondary school, in my second day there, I fell down. I didn't use my cane initially, even though it was a bigger school, but again, didn't want to stand out. But then I fell down some stairs outside. So then I was told, no, you need to use your cane. So I went, fine. I would argue a bit. The stairs weren't the greatest to me because they were concrete. But it was raining, so it was also slippery. But you know, it's certainly not something I regret since. Cane, I do think it's very useful, and I would always say to people at RNC who were hesitant about using them in public, no, it's a good thing to do because even if you don't find it helpful from a mobility point of view, it does serve its purpose ironically, I guess, as a visual aid to those around you to show that that you are registered blind. So yeah, and then I continued using one. I had known I'd wanted a guide dog for ages. I met someone with a guide dog. They came into our year 2 class. Again, thought at the time that was a thing they were doing around the school, but I've realised since it was just because I was in that class. And but that was when I was 7 years old, and at the time you couldn't get a guide dog until you were 16. So the cane was also the next best thing because I've always been a dog person, always been a big fan of dogs. So yeah, I knew I'd always want to get one eventually. Uh, and yeah, so as soon as I turned 16, essentially got the ball rolling. So what, turned 16 in January, and I'd applied for a guide dog in April. Yeah, so and I know since I got my first dog, that age has been lowered to 14 now, I believe, and I think that's still the case.
Brilliant. And then you mentioned jokes, you mentioned comedy, you mentioned stand-up all throughout. And you mentioned a couple of comedians, Chris Portman and Lee Evans. You were kind of looking up at. So comedy, when did
Mhm.
that? When did you think, oh, that's something I would like to do?
Well, I think as sort of touched on earlier when talking about Lee Evans, it was when I was 15 that a friend of mine said, "Oh, you should think about doing stand up," and I laughed it off because I was sort of there like, "Nah, the idea of being in front of all those people, not for me." Um, but then that planted the seed, and I guess, like I said, by 17, when I did the guide dog assemblies, the thought was in my head because I was approaching the assemblies as, throw a couple of jokes in, see if they land. And yeah, so then it just continued growing from that. And it was when I was 20, while I was at RNC in Hereford, that I did some open mic nights there. I took part in a variety show, like in house, that some students set up as well. And then really that kind of stopped a bit there when I went to uni. Even though I did Winchester's Got Talent at the uni, which, as the name suggests, was just their own sort of in-house talent show. Won that the first year, and then the second year I came second. And then they didn't do it in my third or fourth year for whatever reason. Yeah, so that
More than
I
you.
enjoyed doing those. Thank you. I then also in my third or fourth year did a couple of guide dog showcases, I called them. So it was where I was the compare, and so in between acts I would do some material, but it was mainly, it ended up mostly being people singing. I say unfortunately, it was more because I wanted it to be a variety, but just with how things worked, who I got contacts with, pretty much all the acts were singers. They were very good singers. They did very well. We had a duet. They were decent. Yeah, I tried. So that was so that's really what I did at uni, and then my plan was to do more stuff coming out of uni. Uh, you know, But as mentioned, I graduated in 2020, so there was nothing open for a good while. And then, for various reasons, when things started to open up a bit more on the comedy front in 2021, I wasn't in a position to do it. And it wasn't until after my relationship, my previous relationship ended in 2023, that I then felt more in a position to actually give the comedy a proper go, which is why I tell people I've only been going for 2 years. I know I obviously did a few open mic nights, like I said, like 10 years ago and stuff. But as far as properly giving this a go and going to more professionally run open mic nights, getting my foot more in the door, yeah, that was October 2023. Been fortunate enough to win a couple of things. Got Rookie of the Year at Hampshire's Comedian of the Year 2024. Won Dorset's Comedian of the Year this year. Took part of the Shaftesbury Fringe in Dorset. Also went to
Yes.
the Brighton Fringe earlier this year. So things have been getting better and better on that front. I'm still needing to work out how to use social media better. I probably need to be posting more videos, going on TikTok and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
You very recently went into social media, didn't you, with Instagram and
yeah, I created an Instagram at the end of August,
yeah.
uh, which
Yeah.
it was a lot later probably than it should have been. But again, I've
Yeah,
never,
welcome along, Granddad, to social media.
yeah, like I said, I've never been my age when it comes to social media. I've never been good at it. I've never been much of a user. Again, it kind of connects to, as I mentioned, not being best at technology due to
Yeah.
my VI teachers saying Braille was the way forward. So I think I kind of shunned technology and anything associated, like social media. Yeah. So yeah, no, it's just trying to get better at it. I get very good compliments when doing the comedy. People laugh, which is obviously the important thing. But people are very full of high praise, which is always nice. And so I do feel like I'm on the right track and I'm doing well. It's just, it's just, I guess, getting
And
more
and
into
and,
it.
and you've managed to get a few contacts with other comedians. We've had another one of your comedians come on to do D Word once. And
Yeah, we had a
a
couple of fellow
very good
comedians. Yeah,
group of
yeah.
comedians that, if all of us with a catch station, do you want to do this gig? Yes, and then
Mhm.
you go. So
Yeah, yeah, and I've been fortunate enough as well to get a bit of paid work again. Not big money, but it's still nice to get paid work because it's again, it's someone saying you're worth the money. So yeah, I think I've been heading in the right direction. Maybe not as fast as some others, but it's just working things out. But also
yeah,
moving area will also affect things too.
and then the radio came on last year
Yes. Well, yeah. When was it?
through
We
Zam.
started in October last year. Yeah. Well, it was through
October last year.
my employment advisor, which is through the I think connections to the council. She had put me in touch with the gallery, but also I talked about interest in radio potentially. Again, in hindsight, I feel like I do wish it was something I'd done at uni a little bit more. To try and get involved with it. Um, but you know, no use living in the past. So yeah, got saw the volunteering opportunity as you said. Contacted Zan, who's well essentially our boss in charge, and yeah, you were doing this show. So he was talking about the possibility of me coming on with you and seeing how it goes. I know there's the joke there of lumping the two disabled uh, people together.
Yeah.
But
How many disabled people does it take to run a radio show?
yes, apparently two. Uh,
Partly so, yeah.
yeah. So, but no, I think it kind of works because it also kind of connects. I guess one thing I did do a podcast myself for a bit, which I have always debated bringing back. Um, but for various reasons, I haven't yet. I did it from when did I think 2022 is when I started it. 2023 is when I ended it because again, it sort of it for the time being did 75 episodes in total. So I was happy enough with that because it was a nice enough number. It would have probably annoyed the autistic part of me if it was like 78. Uh,
And and
yeah.
where was that? Is that on YouTube or is that on platform?
Spotify. It's on. I believe it's also on Amazon. No, I think it was also on Apple Podcasts as well. Maybe on Amazon. I'm not sure about that one. I think it was definitely on Apple. But yeah, Spotify is the main
And
place.
what's it called?
Listen with your eyes.
Ah, right. That's
Uh, because it basically was a similar sort of concept to what we're doing here, Pete. It was basically people on who were disabled and just talked about their disability, talked about because I suppose the big thing for me with the show, and it kind of came from something I'd done at uni. Like so I did a writing for radio module. I did, creative writing as a whole. But the module writing for radio, I wrote a script for a radio show where, two disabled people talked about their disability. So it sort of came from that. And of course, being going to RNC, most of my guests, due to my contacts, were, you know, registered blind in some way, visually impaired, severely sight impaired, totally blind. They but I did, get other guests on as well. Had, say, uh, maybe a few wheelchair users. So I had one person on who was deaf, partially deaf. Yeah, so it was that, you know, so it was
nice.
that sort of concept because I suppose in my head it was sort of just trying to, demonstrate, disabled people have normal lives, I suppose.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And we're getting to the final part. last couple of questions.
Mhm.
Is there any actually no, I'll do that in a minute. First question I've got for you is what are your plans for next year? For the new year?
Next year, I think trying to get better at social media is a big one, and certainly using it more for the comedy. Uh, I kind of touched on moving to a new area, so I've actually recently moved into a house, and as a result, in a slightly different area of the country to where I was. So it's just sort of trying to, spread my net and network again, get, more, getting into the local comedy scene there. So that is a big one, really. And probably finding work is then also on there because as a result, I won't be able to be at the art gallery anymore, John Hansard. So trying to find work because despite what some people think, not pretty much all of us. I think it's fair to say all of us people with disabilities do not like just sitting at home and claiming benefits. We like doing things.
Absolutely. And the last question I've got for you is one that I've always done throughout the whole disability life. Are there any tips or advice you would give to somebody that's got the same condition as you?
I think. I mean, to be honest, I feel like this advice could probably go for anyone with a disability, not just being severely sight impaired. But I think the main thing is you you know you need to live your life. I think and that will come in different shapes and sizes. That's not me saying, telling you to go traveling. That's not, see the world. Ironically, it's not telling me, that's not me telling you to go clubbing. However it is, don't just, sit on the sofa, become a couch potato. If that truly is unless if that's truly what makes you happy at times, and to be fair, I don't mind. I'm more than happy to binge a series, but I don't think it's something that people want to do 24/7 necessarily. I think, there are barriers and there will always be barriers. They're not, you can't sugarcoat that. And there will be times where it is tougher than others. That's always going to be the case. But at the end of the day, I suppose these are the cards that you've been dealt, you know, but it's up to you how you play with those cards.
Oh, that's brilliant advice, I think.
Mm.
Thank you very much for coming along, Calum, and I hope you have a good Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you very much, Peter. You have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year as well. And same to everyone else, whether you celebrate the holidays or not.
And that was Calum. Now we're going to go on to our last Now we're going to go into our last Christmas special episode, and this one is with a very special person. It's a special person who is, of course, responsible for most of the success in the South Coast Music Chart on Voice FM this year. So I'm going to now go over to myself to introduce the next person. Welcome along to the Christmas special of the Disability Life Podcast, series 2. And I'm joined by literally a star of his own right, Eric Walker. Welcome along.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's good. We've finally got them in.
Absolutely.
Getting it all planned.
100%. How are you doing?
Doing very well. You might actually recognise them. Well, maybe your voice more than yourself.
Potentially, yeah. Who knows?
So he is actually a record breaker from the South Coast Music Chart on Voice FM. And he holds a record most number ones by a single artist.
Yes.
Well done.
Thank you. Thanks.
Before we get into all of your career, let's start off with your early life.
Okay.
What was it like growing up?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the East Midlands, so I'm a long way from home now. I live in Hampshire. I've got 3 siblings. I'm the third of 4.
Blimey.
Yeah, and growing up, like, we didn't really have a lot, but like my parents worked really hard to make sure that we were able to sort of have food on the table and stuff like that, and be supported. From an early age, I was always like quite into music in terms of like watching it and stuff, but we never had like the money or the resources to me to pick up an instrument. Really, I didn't really also show much of an interest in it until later on, but I always had this dream. I'd love to be on stage, and it wasn't until I did theatre and stuff like later on at school, like in my A levels, that I was like, oh okay, like I quite enjoy this, like even more so, like I always wanted to do it, and I finally had the confidence. And then from there it's grown. Like I remember doing like karaoke at uni and people were saying, oh my god, you can sing, like you need to do something with this. And that's kind of, yeah, that kind of sums up my upbringing and sort of where I got to with it. Yeah.
I didn't know that you grew up in the East Midlands.
Yes.
I've known you in Southampton
Yeah.
for a while, so I thought you were just...
Yeah, I mean, I've been in Hampshire since I was 18, so I moved to Winchester when I went to uni, and then I was like, oh my god, this is such a nice place to be, so I stuck around, and yeah, so then
And how
in
long,
Southampton.
how long now?
10 years in Hampshire, no,
It's
12 years.
Well, 30.
Yeah, I'm 30.
Bloody
Yeah.
hell.
Oh no, god no, I know.
No, you look a bit younger than that.
Sorry?
You look a bit younger
Oh,
than that.
thanks. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I'm quite lucky. I do get that a lot.
Oh, for you?
Yeah. Yeah. Skincare routine, I guess, maybe.
What's the secret? Antoine Queen?
I don't know. Yeah. Who knows what it is? Yeah. I guess I'm quite into sort of fitness and stuff and looking after myself, so I think that probably helps a lot as well. Is if you look after your body, then everything looks after itself, I guess.
That's good advice, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So getting into it now, then. Your disability is, would you say, a rare one?
I don't know. I mean, ankylosing spondylitis. Sorry, that is a mouthful.
Thank you for telling me. I would not be able
that's
to
fine.
pronounce it at all whatsoever.
Yeah. I realise I say it really fast now, but yeah, ankylosing spondylitis is the name of the condition, and I got diagnosed with it only last year, beginning of last year, and I don't know a huge amount of people that have got it, but because I released a song about it, basically I was having a really bad flare-up and I was in a lot of pain because AS can give you spinal issues and complications. It can remove your flexibility, and over time it could just kind of ruin your flexibility completely, so you can't really do anything. But like, it also can cause uveitis, which is a condition in your eye. It can cause stomach discomfort and bowel issues and a whole bunch of other things. And I was having a really bad flare up, and then I remember, like, I got home from, like, I'd been to the gym just to kind of distract myself, stretch my back out and stuff. Get home, I wrote this song called Great Surrender, which was inspired by it. And then since I've released that, I've heard from people that have got the condition, and it's made me feel like I'm not alone, and I'm like, okay, actually it's probably more common than I realise, and that's kind of helped in a way. Yeah.
So obviously thinking from birth, was it generic or was it just...
Apparently it's genetic, but I don't know, neither of my parents have been tested for it, and we don't know if either of them have got it, so yeah, it's a bit unusual.
Bit of a mystery.
Mystery, yeah.
Yeah. And you did an Instagram post about it.
I did, yeah.
This year?
I've done a couple recently. So
yeah.
I did a video when I released my music video for Won't Surrender. I talked about it then, but then very recently I was on stage and somebody actually filmed me. I didn't know they were filming. They filmed me talking about the song, and I introduced it before I performed it and talked around the background and talked about why the song was important.
It's pretty good, actually.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the one you saw. Yeah.
Yeah, we should say thank you to Nathan Randall, actually. He was the one that got me in contact.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, Nathan's fantastic. Yeah,
from the South Coast Music Chart.
he hosts the South Coast Music Chart over on Voice FM. Little plug for them. Yeah, he's great. I've had the chance, the pleasure actually, to meet Nathan a few times now, as well as Zinnia and Kristen, and also Zan from the station. Yeah. So,
Well, not from the South Coast Music Chart,
but from the Voice FM family.
Yeah. A big family now, actually. I think we've grown to about 90 hosts now.
Oh wow, okay,
So,
that's a lot. Yeah, I previously got to speak with Ned Henderson as well, but he's moved away, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But he's great.
Yeah, and then, so it's a long time condition.
Yeah, I will have it for life.
Yeah.
Like this is it. But
And do you know what sort of kind of caused it to just appear last year?
no idea.
It just popped up.
No idea, and I wouldn't have known I'd had it
Oh.
if it weren't for the fact I got a uveitis flare up in my eye a few times, and then the doctors were like, "This is probably linked to something else," and I was like, "Okay." So they tested and did X-rays and MRIs, and that's when they discovered my spine was already breaking itself down, and there was already quite a lot of damage done, and they could
And
see.
you didn't notice, you didn't feel.
I was in pain, but I didn't realise what it was, and I just assumed I was maybe overdoing it at the gym or something, like working too hard.
Okay.
So yeah, that was when I discovered about it. I always thought something was weird because I'd be in like lots of intense pain, like I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. But I just assumed maybe I'd just pulled a muscle or something at the gym. But now I know it's not that.
That's what you think it is.
Yeah, but it wasn't that at all. Yeah.
It's weird how you can have something and then just go to the doctor's or GP about it. I mean, it was go further and further down on and think,
Yeah.
I wonder what this is.
It was very strange. I'm just glad that we know what it is now. But at the same time, it also, I also have to prepare myself that this is it now for like the whole of my life. I've got, this will get worse. It won't ever get better. The damage that's been done, you can't reverse it. It's just keeping it at bay where I can.
And is that with medication or anything to kind of keep it at bay?
Yeah, so I take an injection every 2 weeks. So it's a bit like an EpiPen, and you stab your leg with it, and that is there to kind of reduce the inflammation and reduce the agitation of the white blood cells. So every 2 weeks I do that, and every couple of months I get a van that comes to where I live, comes to my home, and they have like a refrigerated unit, and then they give me the refrigerated needles that I then have to put in the fridge.
Okay.
So in my fridge I have needles.
Official.
Yeah. Just right there next to the eggs and the milk. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to pick up one
Just
thing
as you do. Yeah.
in the back.
Yeah.
And then so the cinema, you mentioned a bit about that. So when did you just know you had this magical voice coming out of you, or did you think, nah, this is it? But what was it? I mean, did you watch X Factor, or was that any kind of icon growing up in your?
I don't know really. Yeah. I mean, I always listened to different bands and stuff growing up.
Like?
A lot, like Feeder and even Fleetwood Mac, for example. I mean, Fleetwood Mac's a bit of a cliche answer. I know everyone listens to Fleetwood Mac. But yeah, Feeders they were a big standout for me. Especially just sort of vocally. Grant, the lead singer, he's fantastic. The Script as well. Always been a big fan of the Script. Katie Tunstall, who I got to see live this year. She was fantastic as well, and big influence over some of my sound. She's a great songwriter and inspires me how I write. Yeah, but I didn't really, I mean, X Factor and things like that, we watched a little bit of it, but not so much. My parents weren't really into it, if I'm honest. And I wasn't the biggest fan of it. Like, not really kind of my sort of style.
It's kind of like Dead in the Water now, anyway. So.
Yeah, true. I mean, who knows? I wouldn't say if it was to come back now, I wouldn't say never to going on it. But yeah.
Oh, but it's got talent.
All that. Who knows? Yeah.
Or the voice. The voice is still around, isn't it?
Yeah, it
Honestly,
is. Yeah. I mean, I've been tempted with the voice to kind of pursue that, but maybe one day I'll sort of put my hat in the ring, see what happens, see if they even consider me.
Well, you never know. So it was, you said university, somebody said, oh, you're amazing, you can do this as a, what did you do after that? Did you then kind of just go out pubs, open mic nights, sing a song, karaoke?
Very much, yeah. A lot of open mics, especially in Winchester. There was some really good ones like Roots Night up at the Railway. And then when I moved to Southampton, I was doing a lot of the open mic circuit here. The great thing is about the city is there is stuff happening all of the time. Like every day of the week, you can find open mics and opportunities to perform. And then from there, just over time, just getting to the point where I'm just getting a bit more known so that I can get gigs and stuff. And that's where I'm at now. Like, I'm quite lucky. I get a few sort of regular gigs that come up, performing my own stuff. Because that's what's always been important for me is like, I do enjoy performing the odd cover, but I'm very selective about the covers that I would do. I won't just sing something because it's a crowd pleaser, or I have to resonate with it myself. Like I have to like the song. So I tend to perform a lot of original material because I like pushing that. Like that's my narrative, that's my story, and if people like it, it makes it even more worthwhile because I'm like they like something that I've created. Yeah.
Yeah, and some people think that music is kind of like just write a song, sing on it, put it on the CD, and then that's it. But it's a bit more complicated than that.
Yeah. There's a lot that goes into it. Yeah.
A lot that goes into it. And I actually did some music lessons myself.
Oh wow, awesome.
But didn't get that far. I wasn't that good anyway, but yeah. I was more into like sort of like fuck boy and girls type, you know, Eddie. But you know, I didn't get that far. But I did actually get recorded and put on a CD at some point. I don't know where it is now, but
oh, okay.
Probably lost in the archives, probably for the best.
Oh.
So who was it that saw you, or was there do you have an agent? I mean, does somebody just look at you and go,
no, I just do it with myself. Yeah, I do a lot of marketing myself. I like to think I'm prolific on social media. I feel like I hope that I post enough of the right stuff. But I'm very active with that stuff. In this day and age, you have to be like, if you're an artist that takes yourself seriously, you've got to be posting on social media.
Instagram, TikTok.
Yeah, the way my style as well is that I've on top of really sort of sharing my music, I like to share like who I am as well. So if you do find me on Instagram or TikTok, you'll find videos not just of me singing and performing, but also videos of me talking to the camera about things, like talking about my life and what I do, so that people get to know the real me, like not just like the on stage singing their songs.
Yeah, the on stage persona of yourself.
Yeah. So I do talk a bit about my fitness and stuff like that because that's really important to me in my life.
Yeah, the boxing, the camera with the gloves.
Oh my god!
That comes up every so often.
Yeah. Oh, I mean that was everywhere, especially for the Won't Surrender promo. When I released that song, it was just like boxing themed everything, like boxing gloves on all the time. Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking, is Won't Surrender related to boxing? No.
I kind of had this idea like ages ago. Like it was really funny. I was just like, you know what? I'm going to shoot a music video for this song, and there's going to be a boxing, and there's going to be like me being like in a boxing ring, and there's also going to be me at the top of a multi-story car park in Portsmouth with boxing gloves on, lip syncing to my song, and throwing punches, as you do.
So how many years did it take you to then kind of to where you are now? I mean,
yeah.
So the first time you did your own record, let's say LP or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
How long did it take to get to that point?
A few years, yeah. So I started teaching myself to play guitar when I was 20 when I started teaching myself guitar. I was really late to it. I was so late. I'd already been sort of writing stuff in the background beforehand, just lyrics and stuff, things that came to mind. Just a bit of an escapism, really. When I started learning guitar and teaching myself guitar, that was when things started. I started to actually kind of write with more intent. Took me a few years to get to my first single that I was like oh yeah, this is the one I really want to get out there. And that was a song called Hold My Breath. And I released that in 2018, so 7 years ago now. For the last 7 years I've been releasing music, and I've released a lot of music in that time now. But my idea is I want to keep getting better at it. I want to keep honing my craft, learning more, and sort of sharing more with people that I hope will resonate with others or inspire others.
And did you mingle with other artists from the very start?
Yeah, I think that the good thing about going to open mics and things is you get to see other artists and get to know them. That's how I got to meet Sarah Rose, who I've released 3 collabs with. About 4th collab come in as well, which is out on Friday. Depending on when this podcast is released, it might already be out there.
It will be released on Christmas Day. So.
Oh, okay. So if you're here listening to this podcast, then go check out Or Will Ever Be. It will be out now, and I'm sure it will have 1 million streams on Spotify.
Put it here.
But basically, Sarah and I, we met at open mics, and we've become really good friends as a result. Like, I'm so glad that I've had the chance to meet her and work with her. We performed together a lot as well, write together. Yeah.
And was that the only collab, or have you done others as well?
We've done other things as well, so we've done a lot of covers together. That's how we first started doing things. We were just like, oh, you've got a really cool vibe, like, because I said to her, I was like, you play piano, I play guitar, let's do something. And then we, I remember the first songs that we covered were Need You Now by Lady Antebellum and Beneath You're Beautiful by Labyrinth and Emily Sandé. And we still perform those ones every now and then. They're a bit rarer to hear live now, but we still do get those ones out every now and then.
So you do a mix of well-known songs by artists, and you do your own sort of cover on it.
A
And
little
then you
bit,
do
yeah.
original.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I'm more into doing my original stuff, to be honest. I mean, there might be the occasional song where I'm just like, oh, I want to sing this cover because I love it. But yeah, I think I would be selling myself incorrectly if people were coming to see me live and they're like, I'm going to sing along to everything. I'm like, you'll be disappointed because it'll be a bunch of songs you don't know. You will not know anything. Yeah. I still get crowd involved though. Like, there's a song I released back in the summer called Summer Love Cliche, and it's good fun to get people to sing along to. And I got people singing along at a couple of gigs for that one. Yeah. In fact, you were there at one of them. Yeah, you were there when I performed Summer Love Cliche. That was at the Orange Rooms.
Orange Rooms.
Yeah.
Because it was really orange, so I thought I won't forget that. But yeah. Yeah, and local here in Southampton, actually.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, very local. And so when was it that you sort of realised that you've got a bit of a following now? When did it kind of like hit its peak, or is the peak still yet to come? Or
I like to think the peak's still yet to come, but yeah, I mean, there is some stuff that's happening where I'm just like, oh wow, like I can't believe that's happened. Like that's pretty amazing. Like, I released a song called Catch My Eyes last year, and it just seemed to really do well, like on Spotify, at least for my standards. Like, I mean, for the big artists out there, they would probably laugh at my numbers, but I was so proud of how well that did, and the impact it had on people. But then more recently, I was asked to do like a cameo. So you know the videos that like celebrities do.
Yeah.
So they'll do like a Merry Christmas from Alan Carr or whoever the famous person is that's doing them.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me to do one for their husband for Christmas, and I was like, oh wow, this is amazing! Like, I can't believe someone wants to hear my voice on Christmas Day.
Well, people are going to watch Christmas, so
yeah.
Yeah. Two things happening.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna start to touch on COVID. How was COVID for you?
Weird, very weird. Yeah, it feels like a bit of a fever dream now because it was 5 years ago. But at the same time, like, I remember I was doing loads of gigs at the time. I just landed a support slot for Top Loader. And it got cancelled because it was like in the May of 2020. But I remember the minute that the Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced a lockdown was going to be happening, I was in the studio at the time and we were working on a song called Paint the Walls. and we had like 2 hours left to finish the song, because otherwise that's it, we wouldn't have been able to do anything with it. And me and Luke Target, the producer, we worked flat out. We were like, we need to work fast on this because we want to get this ready, we want to get this out. So I managed to release that song in the middle of COVID for everyone. But I kind of saw my role as an opportunity to keep other people happy and motivated and entertained. So I did live streams like every week. On a Friday, I would
on YouTube or
on Facebook and Instagram. I would have my guitar out and I'd be singing, just to get people through it, because it was such a tough time. Like, people couldn't go places, they couldn't go see live music, they were away from their families. So I did that to kind of keep everyone's spirits up.
And you were in Manchester or back home?
I was in Andover for that.
Oh, right.
So I was by myself as well. So it was very tough. Like, I was living by myself in my flat, like no one around me. But yeah, it was great to connect with people. I think as well, because I've got fans that support me like in different countries, in different parts of the UK, and it was a chance for
different
people.
countries.
Yeah,
You've gone international.
And it was great for people to have the chance to see me perform live when they normally never have the chance, because I'm normally gigging on the South Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So talking about the South Coast,
Yeah.
perfect link, is South Africa chart.
Of course.
When did you sort of start that journey?
Yeah, it was actually this time 2 years ago, 2023, was when Building Blocks, which is a collaboration between me and an Isle of Wight band called Chasing Scarlet, we released a song called Building Blocks, and it was in the chart this time 2 years ago, in the South Coast Music Chart. It entered at like number 7 or number 8 or something, and then it was in the chart for a very long time, and at one point it went all the way to the dizzying heights of number 2 in the January of 2024, and I was like, oh, that's really good and all, and I was like, but I was so disappointed. I was like, it's so close to number 1 and it never got there. But I kept pushing. I did loads of campaigning, and I even invented my own thing called South Coast Music Chart Bingo, which was basically to hit every single position in the top 10 as a marketing strategy. Because I worked out the song
Sounds good.
It had hit 8 out of the top 10 positions. The only positions it hadn't hit were number 1 and number 7. So I was like, help me get to just South Coast Music Chart Bingo.
Please help me
vote for
get
my
to number
song.
7. Vote for everything else.
Basically. So I never imagined the song going to number 1. On its 13th week, it made it to number 1. It went to number 1 13 weeks after 13 weeks in the chart, which most songs don't even spend that length of time in the top 10 at all. So that was crazy, and that was a week of my birthday. Funny thing is, it never reached number 7. It spent 24 weeks in the top 10, but none of those at number 7. So of all the numbers in the chart, that was the one it missed. So that's how it started. And yeah, Building Blocks went to number 1. My follow-up single, Catch My Eyes, went to number 1 and was the song of the summer last year. Then Night Drive went to number 1, followed by Make This Real, followed by Moments, Summer Love Cliche, Won't Surrender. And so it was incredible because I became the first artist to make 5 number 1s, which I then extended with Summer Love Cliche and Won't Surrender. So I now hold the record of 7 number 1s on the South Coast Music Chart. And Won't Surrender then spent 9 weeks at number 1, so it's got the longest run at number 1 in history, which is crazy.
Yeah, and you're in the studio for all of them. I saw a clip like that.
Oh,
you were in the
yeah,
studio
I was in the studio for
Question.
Yeah, I was sat there when they announced Won't Surrender was number 1, and it was amazing. Like, it was so good, and they were just so lovely.
Yeah, and it's a great. So I was going to say about the boxing. Obviously, a load of promos about the boxing. So presumably you do boxing.
I actually don't.
Oh, do you not?
No, so
you can't be out then.
I know, this is the funny thing. Like, so I'm really into my fitness, but I basically invented this whole boxing kind of campaigning and promo for the song, and that was the story behind the music video. Because the idea is the song is about being triumphant and being able to fight back. And I imagined it being a bit like a boxer in the ring. You're several rounds in, but you're like, no, I'm still going, and I won't give up the fight. And that was where the concept came from. So the hilarious thing is, I've never boxed, but the lovely people at Artful Dodgers Boxing Academy over in Horsham, they allowed me to go in and shoot my music video there and shoot my content with me with boxing gloves on, pretending I know how to box.
I thought you knew how to box.
I really don't.
Did you have other boxers in the video with you? Or was it
No,
just
it's just me.
Oh.
Yeah, just all me. Yeah.
centre of attention?
Oh, I know, I'm such a diva. The funny ones were though when we went, because I shot the music video in different locations as well in Portsmouth. So one of them was in front of the Guildhall, and I'm in the front of the Guildhall with just a vest and shorts on, and I must look so out of place. Like there was like loads of people around. It was so busy, but I was like, I'm just gonna do just here, like moving around, like by the Guildhall, just singing my song. Yeah, as you do.
I've got to watch that actually.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's a laugh when you think about behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't tend to see behind the scenes sort of stuff. So, who's the camera person who does the content? Do you edit it yourself? Do you get it?
Oh yeah, I mean it depends really. So I edit some of my content, but I also am quite lucky. So Catherine Jacob was the lady that recorded the Won't Surrender music video. She edited it, she produced it, she did all of the work. So she was amazing. And then I've also got Jay Allison. He's a content producer. He does some of my content. In terms of editing and graphics and things. It's really helpful having people to support you with that. Like, I do a lot myself as well, so I've become a bit of, well, self-proclaimed pro in CapCut and Canva, but at the same time, like, it's a lot to do in your spare time alongside writing music.
Yeah. And then the, yeah, I've got download boxing. I just thought you were a boxer, so. Oh,
Sorry.
So, was that just for what's under? Will you put your gloves back on for another music video?
Who knows? Yeah, who knows? Yeah, it felt weird because I've released a new song called Breaking Walls with Lyradel, and we actually met through Soundcraft's music chart. Because hers was the song that stopped Building Blocks from going to #1 that fateful week. Yeah, we released a song recently, and I was tempted to put the boxing gloves on to promote it.
To break the walls?
Well, exactly, that was literally my thoughts. I was like, breaking walls. What's the best thing to break walls with? Boxing gloves.
Yeah. and did she go for it? Did she put her own?
I haven't said anything to her about it. I mean, that's a good idea now. Maybe I could get her to wear the boxing gloves.
Yeah, just one each.
She would do it, I'm sure she is. She's fantastic. She's so much fun.
And so collaborations is would you say doing it yourself is the favourite thing, or do you like collaborations as well?
Collaborations are a lot of fun. I love working with people who have different ideas to me and learning about how they write music, because it can be so different. Like the way that Lyradel writes is very different to how I write, and she's some really cool ideas. And like I was like, oh, I can't wait for us to work together on this. And then same with when I worked with Sarah Rose when we've released music, and same with Jason Scarlett. Like just very different ideas and ways of working and ways of writing, and then when you're in the studio together as well, it's just so much fun. You also can't beat being on stage with someone else. Like you're there with someone, you're having a laugh, you're having a bit of fun, and also if I make mistakes, they can cover that.
Yeah,
they can cover
on
it.
stage you're like,
Yeah.
Have you had any blunders on stage?
Just the general ones. I mean, I often will play the wrong chord here or there, but yeah, or like if you forget the lyrics to your own songs, but I mean, that's okay normally because a lot of people don't realise unless it's like the chorus. So there's been times where I've had to sing the same verse twice because I've gone to sing the second verse instead of the first verse.
Trying to think of the line and then I got it.
Yeah.
But if you're saying this song for the first time and you make a mistake, doesn't matter. No one's ever heard it before. So.
Yeah, I mean, I had a funny moment at my last gig at the Social in Southampton. Where so basically I got the microphone and I went to take it out of the mic stand because I wanted to kind of move around a bit on the stage and I was going to sing my song Night Drive. I pulled the microphone out and pulled the cable out with it, so the cable disconnected the microphone. I was like, yeah, I'm going to have to stop and do that again because I need to plug the microphone back in.
I've never seen a microphone do that before.
Me neither. That was a first. It was quite funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a joke. I joked about it though. I was like, I was like, this was scripted. Like this was totally meant to happen. I'm building suspense.
Well, Nigel, please say you haven't. So, anyone who's in that game that night, just forget it. It's fun. Yeah. And then, so how did you get sort of like getting a producer, going into studios? Was it just you looking around your local area, see what's around music studios and?
Oh, I'm trying to remember how me and Luke met now because it feels like we've just known each other forever. Because I always work with the same producer for all of my songs, and I'm trying to think how we met. I mean, I now know. I kind of got invited to do some kind of showcase kind of style event thing, and it was years ago, and it was over with River Studios over in Tottenham. And that's how Luke and I started working together, was off the back of that, and we've just worked together ever since. I feel like once you find somebody that really you work well with and they get your sound and they're a part of your sound, you just kind of gel and you're like, I want to work with this
Let's
guy.
do some more.
Yeah, like we get on so well, and what I love about Luke as well is that he's not afraid to tell me if he thinks I've got bad ideas or something, or if I could do something better. So like, if I'm recording a vocal or something and he's like, mate, you can sing that so much more powerful than you've just done, give it some welly. And I like that. I really respect that as somebody that can be open and honest with me.
That's better than having a yes person. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, because that doesn't help me. Like, I want the song to sound the best it can possibly sound, and the producer is a part of that. Like, he's a massive part of it. Like, I see it as a joint project. Yeah.
Of course. And how do you get your... So what's Andy is obviously based on your personal life, but all the other songs thus far and their collaborations, where do those ideas come on? Are they you had in your mind for a long time and you just finally write it all down, or...?
I like to write about my experiences, and sometimes I write things on retrospection as well. So I look back on memories or look back on things and write that way. So it really depends.
Now we can't not talk about your fashion sense. Your lovely coat. We always see you wearing a gilet, if you call it that, or sleeveless coat, whatever you call it. What do you call it?
Gilet?
A gilet. There you go. And we'll talk about this before we start recording. Did you say it was an intentional thing, like fashion?
A little bit, yeah. So I think it's just become a bit of a statement, really. It's become a trademark sort of look for me. And I think as an artist, you need to be able to have a bit of a signature look about you. It's a psychological thing in a way, because it just means that people can remember, people remember different things. And some people remember names, some people remember what people say, some people remember what people are wearing. And so if you can try and kind of tick all 3 boxes, it makes it easier for people to remember you, find you and stuff. And so that was a big part of it. But it's also funny now, because if I'm not wearing it and I'm doing something, so I will get a message or a comment on TikTok from somebody saying, I don't recognise this man, where is the gilet?
Well, on that note, I've got you a gift actually.
Do you actually?
Yeah.
Oh my. Do you actually?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god, you got me something. Oh,
yeah.
I feel really bad because I didn't.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much. Well, I haven't got you anything.
Oh no, I don't know about that.
Should I open it now?
Yeah, you can open it now, why not?
Make sure this is the camera sees.
It could be the 2026 statement.
It does say the 25th of December on it though.
Oh yeah, it would be 25th by the time this comes out.
So I'm opening it
now.
now.
Just open it, yeah. We're glad to mate.
Oh, I'm bad with the celebrate. There we go. I managed to get the card.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this.
Well, I just had all these cards for years.
That's such a cute dog.
So, yeah.
I won't surrender next year. Thank you.
There you go.
I love that. I'm intrigued what this is.
Yeah.
I am very intrigued. very well wrapped as well. I feel like I need you to wrap my Christmas stuff because I'm terrible at it. But there's even more wrapping underneath. I feel like I should have done the Christmas present thing and you shake it to work out what it is.
Yeah, it's normally shake it like sweets
or it's something breakable and it turns out it's glass.
Yeah, imagine that.
Or I can't do the sellotape.
Well, maybe it should have been boxer then.
I should have brought my boxing gloves. I don't know if boxing gloves would have helped. I was like punching to get.
Yeah.
Okay, we are nearly there.
Nearly there. Just one last bit of packaging.
Well, there's something orange in here, which contrasts quite well with this colour. Ooh, what have we got here? Oh, there's Chile. That's hilarious. I want to open it. I feel like I should put it on.
Oh, just look at open. It's one of these.
Oh, there we are. It's a.
There you go.
I'm rubbish with packaging. Seriously, what is wrong with me? Oh, that is fetching. Oh, that is a beautiful colour. Oh, wow.
Hey, you said your favourite colour was orange.
It's got the sleeves as well.
Yeah.
That's really nice. I like that. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I was just thinking more of like the sort of Bianca.
I feel like I should put this on.
Go on then.
Yeah. Do you normally end up with like a fashion show on your podcast at the same time?
Yeah, do a little bit more. Ooh, look at
Oh,
that.
it looks like it fits like a glove. Oh, there we go. Look at that.
Oh, then just
That's a lovely colour. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's alright. There you go.
How's that?
Yeah, that looks pretty good actually.
New signature look.
Yeah. It's a nice colour one actually.
Yeah. Don't really wear orange.
Do you not?
No, this is a one-off for me.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you so much.
That's alright.
Very kind of you. I feel bad now. As I said, I've not got you anything.
Oh no, I don't know about that. Look, there you go.
I'm wearing it now.
Well, I'm glad I remembered that because I
Thank you.
wrote it down actually. Fashion coat. Yeah. You met a few people with AS
Yes.
last time. And how grateful are you to your families, to your community of friends?
Good, yeah, I feel really grateful. People have been really supportive. Like my friends and family have been really nice and helpful and understanding, which is all you can really ask for, really.
And the people with your condition as well.
Yeah, I think it's helpful to know that you're not alone, and I'm hoping my stories help people to realise that. Like, I've been open and honest about my experience. It was tough to do, but I'm glad I did it because I think it's helped others maybe to not feel like they're isolated.
You're sort of going into 2026
Yes.
in 6 days' time. By the time this comes out anyway. What's in 2026 for you? Any plans? Any kind of
Yeah.
stuff?
So much more to come. Yeah, really excited because I've got new songs coming out. I've got a collaboration with Rackham. They're a duo formed of Toby Creasy and Sam Bishop. Also, you'd have known their music, I'm sure, from South Coast Music Chart. Their song Robin Hood was massive on the chart, so I'm excited to work with them. We were doing some stuff today actually. I even did a duet with them on stage at the social, and yeah, we've got a new song that's coming out in the new year, so watch this space. It's going to be a really cool song. We did a photo shoot for it over in Winchester. There's a really cool story behind the song which we'll share in due course.
Of course.
There'll probably be another Sarah Rose Eric Walker collab there's going to be, because we've done 4 now, so I'm sure we'll work on another song. And I've got an original song as well, like a solo one coming out in January, called Kings Tonight. Yeah, please pre-save that as well.
Sounds good.
Yeah?
And do you release a song? Just mention Spotify.
Yes.
Obviously, it's not like self-rated trail.
It'll
And
be
voice of family
everywhere.
and that. And got to pop that bit in. And what? Apple as well, or where do you release your stuff?
Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, Deezer, Tidal, everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely everywhere.
Brilliant. And if people want to kind of see more of you and you love your boxing gloves, where can they find you?
They can find me on, as I said, YouTube, Deezer, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, iTunes, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, basically everywhere. I am all over the online stuff.
Okay, and it's Eric Walker UK for Instagram.
That's the one, and for TikTok, and for Twitter, and for Facebook.
Well, everything there. I will put a link here, or some sort of...
Am I pointing the right place?
Yeah, or I am, but...
One of us has pointed to the right place.
Yeah, it could be up there, and...
somewhere in the
somewhere around
vicinity.
here. Yeah. But you have to send me all the links and then I'll put it all in.
I'll get you.
And then the final one is the one that I normally give everyone. What tips or advice would you give to somebody that has the same condition as you?
Make the most of, not to sound harsh, but just make the most of now. Like, my condition isn't going to get any better. It won't. Like, I know it won't. But there's no point feeling anxious about tomorrow, because you don't know what tomorrow's going to look like, and you also have very limited sort of control over it. So if it's not your sphere of influence, like, don't allow yourself, don't try not to get anxious about it. Just focus on the here and now. Like, make the most of it. Like, and that's what I've been doing. Like, I feel like I've been doing a lot of stuff recently just so I can enjoy what I can do while I can do it. Like, I'm going hiking, I'm going to the gym, I'm doing half marathons, I'm being on stage, but I don't know how long that's going to be for with my condition. It might be that I only last for a few years more, it could last 20 years more, but at the same time I don't let myself worry about it. Like, I just carry on with what I'm doing, and that's what I'd say to anyone with AS. Like, it can hit you in different ways, but be patient with yourself, because it's a nasty condition and it's an invisible disability as well. People won't be aware of it, but you kind of don't be afraid to tell people, look, I'm having a tough day with it, please just give me a break, or I'm sorry I can't make that social event. Don't feel upset or disappointed in yourself about that.
Brilliant thing to end up on. And is there anything else you want to say? Or
No.
I think I covered everything.
Yeah, I guess so. But thank you so much for having me. Like, it's been a real pleasure.
Yeah. And well, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to
You've
you
got
as
a
well.
grip. You've got a grip on your blood. Yeah, you are a boxer.
Maybe. Firm handshake. Yeah.
Thank you. And that's all 3 Christmas special episodes wrapped up in one. Thank you very much for everyone that's joined me, not just this Christmas, but for the last 3 years all in total. And I'm saying that because this is actually my last podcast episode on Voice FM. It's been 3 years. So the first year I did Surround Sports podcast, and that was while I was still at uni doing my masters. And then when I left uni that summer, because I graduated by that point, or nearly graduated, I then moved on into disability life from last year. So I did series 1 of that, and then I thought, well, I'll do another year of it, which is this year, 2025. And it's, without this podcast series, I would never have met some incredible people that I've had on. I would have had some amazing contacts, I wouldn't have had the people or the contacts or the kind of experiences that I've had over the last 2 years, 3 years of doing this. I have now decided to move on, not from Voice of Phone completely. I've only decided to move on from the podcast part of Voice of FM. And I'm going off into my own new adventure. I'm starting a new podcast away from Voice FM. And so trying to do that and then do a continuation of this would not be viable, really. It would be too much work on my hands. As it is just me interviewing them, getting in contact, then actually interviewing them, recording them like I am now, talking to you, having to set all this equipment up and then edit and then put it up by a certain time, certain day for it to be released. And trust me, that is knackering. So I've decided to, a little bit of a secret, I've actually started a new podcast with somebody else that has appeared on this very podcast this year. So that's all I'm going to say on that subject. All I'm going to say to you is wait until the new year. If you've got me on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or Twitter, or if you follow me on LinkedIn or whatever, stay tuned and find out in the new year what that podcast is, and then at that point you will know who it's with as well. And I hope you follow my journey on that as well. So I'm not leaving Voice of FM, as I said. I'm still doing the radio, so you will still hear my lovely voice, ranting voice like this, on Tuesdays from 2 till 4 every Tuesday, and that's a D word with Calum obviously as well. So I'm still doing that. I'm just not doing Voice of FM podcasts anymore. That's not to say we may come back. I spoke to Zan, the station manager of Voice of FM, and he said, like friends, we're going on a break. If Disability Life does come back, at this point I've got no idea. All I can say is that we're going on a bit of a break, and somebody may as well just pick up the baton and run with it, or wheel with it, or whatever, or it may not come back at all completely. I'm not sad to come back. Who knows? Who knows what the future's going to bring? So, yeah. But what I do want to say is a massive thank you to everyone that's appeared on the 3 podcast series that I've done. So thank you to everyone that's appeared on the Surround Sport podcast. Thank you to everyone that's appeared on the Disability Life Series 1 of the podcast. And then thank you everyone that's appeared on this series 2 of the Disability Life podcast. And I wouldn't have done any of this without you and your input and your wonderful stories of your lives. Some of them have made 6.3k views, some of them have got 5k views, some of them have got like 1,000 views. I mean, how many views you've got at this point, I've got no idea, but I'll have a look. But yeah, it's been an amazing 3 years of my podcast journey, and I would like to thank you, of course, the viewers, for watching every single one of them. Maybe you've got some more. But even if you've seen specific ones, thank you so much for being part of my journey. And yeah, and a massive thank you to Sam Phillips for letting me have this wonderful opportunity to do this. Have a very happy Christmas today, as it is the 25th of December. Well, it's not the time of recording, but it will be when by the time this comes out. But Merry Christmas, and I hope you have a wonderful new year and a brilliant start to 2026, as my new podcast will be as well. And I will tell you all about this new podcast that I've got in the new year on the radio, on the D-Word, so don't miss out on that. So enjoy the festivities if you do enjoy them, if you do actually celebrate Christmas. If you don't, have a good one, and I'll talk to you again in the new year on the D-Word on Voice of FM radio. And all that's left for me to say is to say thank you. Goodbye. Thank you.
Voice. Let's go. Voice FM.